Hello! So today we are going to go ahead and look at the audiogram your daughter was given by the audiologist and just clear up some information on the chart, give you some tips on how to read it. I know it can look kind of daunting with all this information on here, but I promise I'll help you out and give you some tips and see if we can read this together. So we're going to go ahead and start with our access on the right. And so we have our hearing threshold level in decibels. And this is just basically looking at loudness, the level of how loud we have to play these frequencies at the top for your daughter to hear in each ear. So at the top, we start from our quietest sound at -10 decibels and go all the way down to our loudest sound on the chart at 110 decibels. And so we go from the top quietest down to the bottom loudest. And then at the top of our chart, we have a frequency in hertz. And so we have our low pitch sounds starting at 250, going all the way to 8,000 being our highest pitch. So we go from low pitches to high pitches. And so, yeah, we can see that the plot points are marked with X's and O's. The X's are going to represent, in the blue, represent the left ear, and the right is going to be represented by the circles in red. So if we look at one plot point, we can look at this first blue X and look at our 250 hertz. That's the lowest pitch on our test, and we can see that it plots at around 21. And so to hear a 250 hertz frequency, it has to be at about a 21 loudness. And so as we move across the chart, we can see that your daughter's hearing loss slopes from the mild hearing loss range here in the 20s and 30s, and slopes down to a severe hearing loss where these high-pitched frequencies are having to be played at a relatively loud sound level so that she can hear them. When we look at this, I can go ahead and tell you some information about the hearing loss. As we can see, both ears follow the same slope path, so that means that the hearing loss that your daughter is experiencing is going to affect both ears. So as we can see, they follow a similar path, both having a similar hearing loss in each ear. It's going to be also a sensory neural hearing loss, just because there is no bone conduction, which is another type of testing on this graph that gives us any indication of a conductive or a mixed hearing loss. And so when I talk about a sensory neural hearing loss, I'm going to be talking about a hearing loss that is more affected in the inner ear. So that's our cochlea, which is our main nucleus, our motherboard for sound in the ear, or our auditory brainstem. One of those two is going to be impacted. The brainstem is what is sending this electrical sound waves to the brain to be processed. And so it's either in the cochlea or in the brainstem where we're seeing some processing problems, sound just not being sent the way that it normally or typically would. And so, yes, like I said, we are sloping from a mild hearing loss down to a severe hearing loss. When we get down to this severe hearing loss, the impacts on speech and hearing that we're going to notice is that your daughter will not be able to hear sound or, speech at a normal speaking level. You know, just this talking voice, the way this loudness is, she may not be able to hear that with this severe of a hearing loss. And even with amplification, like a hearing aid, that may still not provide the necessary amplification that she needs to understand that sound. So we could look at other devices to aid that hearing loss, like cochlear implants. But yeah, that was just a quick overview, and I hope it provided some clarity. Break. Let me go ahead and tell you what my resources were for this video. Sorry. So I used the Children with Hearing Loss Developing Listening and Talking Birth to 6 book, and I used pages 89 and 90.